Hello and welcome once again to the Schaefer Small Engine Shop and Two-Car Garage. Today's victim is going to be the third of 3 handheld blowers that were brought over to my shop by my friends Chris and Pam that live over in East Texas. 2 of the blowers, one a Stihl, just like this one, except it was a blower vac mulcher setup, and a Bolin's unit, have already gone back to East Texas. They're working great. That left number 3 here, which was obviously the oldest of the 3, and it had been out in the barn for several years, and when it came here, it had about 3/4 of a tank of not gasoline, but varnish. And it stunk so bad, I don't know how Pam put it in her car and brought it over here, because I could hardly stand to have it in the garage, it stunk so bad. So I poured all the varnish out and put it in a little special bottle I have with a Yorker spout top on it, which I use for weed killer out in the street, in my driveway and on the sidewalk. It's very cheap and very effective weed killer. It'll kill anything it touches. So we've got this here, and when I took it apart, the old carburetor, which is right here, would not prime. I can understand why it wouldn't prime, because it was probably completely clogged up with varnish from the old fuel that was in it. So I'll show you what I did to it. I heard or read somewhere that these carburetors that won't prime can be fixed, maybe, by putting them in a jar full of jalapeno and garlic stuffed Greek olive juice. I'm sorry. You put them in a jar of gasoline and soak them for a while. And the gasoline is supposed to clear up the little check valves that are in these carburetors. And these little carburetors are full of these little check valves. So I took this old carb, I soaked it for about an hour and a half, took this long hose I put on there, put it down in the pickle juice here, and started pumping on it, and I'll be damned if it didn't prime. So whatever was wrong with it has been cleared up by soaking in the gasoline pickle juice, and you can see it's priming and purging just like it's supposed to. So I had already bought a new carburetor because I have no idea what the rest of this carburetor looks like, having been run on that varnish. So I've got my new carb, and it is soaking in the pickle juice here. I'm going to use my hemostat to pull it out, if I can get a grip on it, and I did. So here it is. It's been soaking overnight, and I'm going to put it back together and see if I can make it work, because it would make a lot better carburetor than this 10-year-old one here that's been run on varnish. This is brand new. It's never seen anything but 2-cycle gas. So I won't bore you with putting it back together, but I'll put it back together, hook the hose up on it, and we'll see if it primes. All right, as they say now, we have arrived at the moment of truth. Let's take the new carburetor, which I've reassembled. I've got my little tube there. It's hooked up to the suction side of the carburetor. Let's pump the bulb and see if we've accomplished anything. And so far, the answer is no, we have not. And the answer continues to be no, we have not. Nothing is coming into this bowl. And that is totally submerged. So, we have accomplished nothing with this new carburetor. Now, I'm going to do a little switching between the old and the new and see if I can get this thing to pump. I'll be back with you. Here is the next step. We've got the old purge base set onto the new carburetor. This one's already got a little bit of gas in it. Let's see if it'll fill up again. She's making noise, but I don't see it sucking up any fluid into the bowl. It's doing absolutely nothing. That would lead me to believe that the problem is not in this purge base. It must be in the body of the carburetor or up here. So I'm going to change that part out, see if it makes any difference at all. All right, now we've got the old pumping base and the old purge bowl base hooked up to the new carburetor center. Let's see if this will work. And we are getting absolutely nothing. It's got a little fuel that's left in it, but that is from previous attempts. So what does this tell you? It tells me this carburetor body is bad. It's got a check valve in it that will not come unstuck, and I'm going to send it back to the Chinaman that I bought it from. And I'm going to put the old carburetor back on the Stihl and see if it will run. To be continued. Well, here's the conclusion for now of this video. This is the old carb that primed up just great last night, and now it won't prime either. So I don't have a clue what's going on here, This one worked just fine last night, but it's not sucking a drop up today. So this video is to be continued at a later date after I figure out what the hell's going on.